Absolute dynamite. Oh my goodness.
This is AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Matthew Macklin has landed in Las Vegas, so there's going to be trouble within the state of Nevada. No, I'm only kidding. When did you get in, Matt?
Got in late last night, so still a bit jet lagged.
Yeah, we're here for an epic fight. You covered the first one with Wilder Ortiz. I'm sure you're excited to be back calling it again for the rematch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight. I think, and you know, this time as well, Ortiz knows, you know, he'll be kicking himself a little bit that he gassed out and didn't get the finish, you know, because he really had Wilder in all sorts of trouble. Bal saved him really. Yeah, gassed out a bit, punched himself out maybe a little bit, didn't get the job done anyway, and you know, obviously Wilder came back in and got the knockout. So, you know, and credit to him. But I think Wilder will be a little bit cagey because he knows that Ortiz has the power. But I think Ortiz will be, you know, trying to set traps, trying to feint, trying to lure him into making mistakes where he can make him pay. But I think I don't see this going 12 rounds. I'll be shocked if this fight goes 12 rounds. I think both will be cagey, but they're both going to be looking for the knockout punch. They're both neither of these guys are trying to win this fight on points. I don't see that happening at all.
We've seen this picture circulating around of Luis Ortiz. Looks in phenomenal shape. I think, you know, prior to this fight week, we were hearing about Luis Ortiz's age and that it should be an easier fight for Wilder this time round. But looking at the shape he's in, etc., I've heard on this fight week that we expected perhaps a better Luis Ortiz. What's your view on it?
Yeah, I just heard he's lost like 20 pounds, you know, stone and a half. So he's maybe looking for more mobility, more speed. Probably worked a lot on conditioning as well. You know, he did run out of steam a bit in the first fight, got tired. So I think he's worked hard on conditioning. Probably wants speed, movement, mobility. Whoever Ortiz carries enough power that if he catches Wilder cleanly and has enough energy then to finish the job, he could get the job done. Wilder, we know, has got freaky power, absolute one-punch power, knockout power. So it's neither guy can really afford to make too many mistakes here. You know, so that's why I think both of them is going to be a little bit cagey, but also very switched on. And even though there's nothing happening, you know, it'll be so exciting because the anticipation of what's going to happen, you know, and as I'm saying this, you know, they could both go out there and go gung-ho. You just don't know in boxing, especially in heavyweight boxing, when two guys have carried the power to take the other guy out, and they've shown that. Even though Wilder was the one who knocked Ortiz out, Ortiz did show that he had enough power to really hurt Wilder. So I think it's going to be a really exciting fight. Yeah, really exciting fight. Can't wait for it.
Of course, we're very close to Joshua Ruiz too. Now, if you take your mind back to June 1st, we had Joshua Ruiz 1, and the week before was Wilder Brazil. Again, you called that fight, and we all know what happened in Wilder Brazil, and that affected Joshua mentally going into that Ruiz fight. He's admitted that. Do you think Wilder will have in the back of his head, listen, Joshua's fighting again in 2 weeks, if I like wipe Luis Ortiz out within a round or two, that's going to get into him, or do you think he'll be considering that?
Maybe slightly, but I don't think anywhere near as much so as what the Wilder knocking out Brazil did affect Joshua, because there's a few different factors. So firstly, Andy Ruiz wasn't really seen as a big threat. You know, unbelievably so, really, when you look, he'd never been down. He'd only lost one close points loss to Josie Parker in New Zealand. So, you know, he should have been seen as more of a threat than what he was. But, you know, aesthetically, he didn't look the part. He wasn't menacing in, you know, his talk. He was all smiling, posing for pictures. So there was no threat there coming. So you can see, you know, Joshua's human. You know, so subconsciously, he took his eye off the ball. He looked past him. And definitely, he would have, again, felt under pressure. Even if he, you know, said, look, I've got to focus on my job. Subconsciously, he would have felt under pressure to not just win, but to make a statement, because Wilder looked so devastating a couple of weeks previous against Brazil, knocking him out in the first round. We were there, and it was so there was definitely unsaid pressure on Joshua to not just beat Ruiz, but to make a statement. And sometimes when you're thinking about making a statement rather than just getting the win, you know, you're already looking past that guy. You're already not giving that opponent the respect that you should. So that's always dangerous territory to go in. Wilder against Ortiz with the Fury thing, I don't know. I think Wilder got hurt by Ortiz badly. You know, maybe he was lucky because the bell went when it did. You know, then came out and got the win. So I don't think he's in the same danger, if you know what I mean. I think he knows Ortiz can hurt him, so I think he will be, supremely switched on. He will be totally focused on Ortiz. I don't think he'll be looking past him, even though the Fury fight is there. I don't even think he's not really saying too much about Fury. I think he will be 100% focused on Luis Ortiz.
Could you imagine though if he went in there and did the same thing to Luis Ortiz that he did to Dominic Brazil?
Oh no, I mean, if he did do that,
and he's got the.
Oh no, he's got that power. He's the hardest puncher, pound for pound in boxing. Obviously, he's the hardest puncher because they're heavyweight. But anyway, he's just got. There's nobody in any of the other weight divisions that carries that kind of freaky power. I mean, in a way, carries big power maybe, but Wilder just one punch, knock you dead kind of power. So, he's. Look, if he goes and knocks Ortiz out in a round, that's a statement, isn't it? It is. But Ortiz, I think Ortiz is, I don't think that'll happen. I think he's clever and he's crafty. He's, and he'll be cagey. And I think Wilder as well will be respectful of Ortiz's power. And he won't want to take too many risks early on either. He'll be careful in there.
Now, when I caught up with you, where was it? In Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago. Spoke about Ruiz Joshua, you gave your opinion.
You were pissed. You thought I was pissed. Even though I don't drink.
No, this was at before our flight.
Okay, that time,
yeah,
right, okay.
Much more relaxed.
Yeah. You'd sobered up by then.
You got a lot of flack for giving your opinion. Just saying, if someone put a bullet to my head and said Ruiz or Joshua, I'd say Ruiz. I mean, you said it was a close fight. It's going to be a close fight, whatever. But yeah, you got a lot of stick for saying that because you work for Sky. It's strange.
I didn't know I got stick for that, to be honest.
In the comments, they're like, "Oh, Matthew, what is he turning against Joshua?" Like,
no, I want Joshua to win, but and he definitely might win. Like, I'm not going, Ruiz 100%. I don't know. I think it's a tough fight to call because, for the first fight, I thought Joshua was going to win the fight, but I think this fight now is a much harder fight than the first fight ever should have been. I think, because psychologically we don't know where his head's at. Psychologically, he got knocked out, he got beaten up in several, he was down a few times. He was pretty busted up in there. So this wasn't a punch from the gods as he said it was. Hassim Rahman, even Oliver McCall. That Lewis got caught. That's not what happened with Joshua. Joshua had Ruiz down and hurt. Went in, got clipped. Didn't really recover from it, but stayed in there for several rounds after that. So, it's different, and I think if the fact that and again, I'm only like everyone else listening to interviews and taking from it what you can. But usually, of a defeat, there's a reason. You look at it, you process it, but you have to face it and deal with what went wrong. If you're saying that was a punch from the gods, it was a lucky shot. To me, that doesn't say that he's really dealt with it. He's in denial about what happened. He didn't just get caught with a lucky punch. He got caught, and then he was, Ruiz, got the job done, went about it. He had time to recover. The bells went. He cleared his head a bit, but I don't know. It's you pushed me. I was sitting on the fence.
It's just your opinion either way. Like.
I had splinters in my ass. I was sitting on the fence that much, but no, look, I think Joshua could win the fight. Of course, he could if he keeps him back. Definitely, it's a close one to call. I think if he keeps it long, keeps it on the end of the jab, keeps it basic behind a double jab right hand, ties him up when they get close, then I think he can definitely win the fight. He's got to get his tactics right. He can't afford to go into a shootout, an exchange with a guy who's got faster hands than him, and don't hook with a hooker type thing. You're never going to win an exchange against Ruiz because he's shorter and he's faster, and that's his game. But if you keep him on the end of the jab, keep him backed up, double jab, right hands, and when he does come close, just tie him up. Just hold him, push him off. I don't think he. I think he's got to box a very disciplined fight. That's a tough one. 12 rounds. You've got to stick to tactics, discipline. 12 rounds. Ruiz as well now. Not only believes he can win the fight, he knows he can win the fight because he's already beaten Joshua. So his confidence is probably gone up 30% at least. So this is a tougher fight than what the first fight should have been.
Two things on Joshua. He's brought in Angel Fernandez. We saw a clip going around on social media today and working out. Rob McCracken watching on. So what do you make of that? And secondly, he made some recent comments about if he beats Ruiz in this rematch, you should all bow down to me. So yeah, we'll start with the Angel Fernandez. And what do you make of him bringing him in?
Don't know really. I think to me it probably suggests that he wasn't happy with some things that went in the camp, or maybe not happy, but looking at where areas they can improve things. That you have a loss, you think, well, we thought we'd prepared as good as we could, and maybe it wasn't a physical thing, maybe it was a mental preparation thing and attitude, taking our eye off the ball. But now that we have had the loss, let's look at areas where we can improve, and maybe that's an area that they felt that could be improved upon. I don't know. I think he's got a good man in his corner, Rob McCracken. He's guided him this far. He knows the game. He knows not only does he know the game, he knows Joshua. He knows what he's good at, what he's not as good at, and I think, and actually the stuff Robert was telling him in between the rounds was, you could get back behind that double jab right hand. I thought that was spot on advice. Sounds very basic and very simple, but it is basic and simple. He's a short guy. You keep him on the end of the jab. What can he do to you? You go into a mid-range shootout. That's dangerous territory.
Yeah, and just as I said, what do you make of his comments to Sky about the fact that if he wins this rematch, everyone should bow down to me?
Who's everyone? Like just the pub?
I'm guessing everyone in boxing, maybe literally everyone in the world. I don't know.
Yeah, look, he's hurting, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's been up here, and people are kind of writing him off now. They're talking about Ruiz, this, that, and the other, where he was the man. That when you're a fighter, that's a painful place to be in. You all of a sudden think everyone's fickle against you.
Pride thing.
Yeah, a little bit. Everyone's praising you 1 minute, and the next minute they're writing you off. That, of course, it hurts your pride, and it'll be hurting. So, listen, that's how he feels. He's probably thinking, yeah, well, when I do it, that's a bit of defiance in him, a bit of hurt pride. But listen, that's a good thing, because that hurt pride, that defiance, that'll fuel him, that'll drive him on now, I think, in training camp.
Listen, I think it's a great time for boxing. We could potentially have 3 massive heavyweight rematches. We know we've got 2, starting with this Saturday night in Las Vegas. Any particular plans in Las Vegas for the next couple of days, Matt, or just full-on work? No, just working, just soaking up the atmosphere, networking, meeting a few people, some friends from the fight game, and just enjoying the buzz and looking forward to the fights. And as you said, there's some good rematches. If Wilder comes through Ortiz on Saturday night, then February 22nd, Tyson Fury, that's a fight. I hope Wilder wins, because I want to see that fight. Absolutely. All right, cheers, Matt. Thank you.
It is special. Absolute dynamite.